So let's start by exploring what self-doubt is all about, before we can transform them into self-love, So it's important to understand where it comes from, how it's being formed within us. So throughout my years of studying, myself, and my clients, who work with us, we realize that a lot of self-doubts are not being built in, just throughout recent failures, Maybe a failures in a relationship, a breakup in a relationship. And a lot of time, yes, it impacts us, it starts like creating this, like a wound inside us, questioning, are we good enough for our partner? Are we good enough to attract a beautiful relationship? So throughout years of studying myself, and my own experiences and my clients' experiences with me, I realized that a lot of these are actually due to the conditioning of the past, For me, I'm born in an Asian family, so my family is a very strict family. So a lot of time, if I'm not scoring like 100 marks, in school, as like even as small as in the kindergarten or primary one, I have this voice, from my tutor, from my parents, from my teachers, who's showing me signs that I'm not good enough. So they may beat me up. They may say, hey, Sky, you can do better, but this is not, good enough. So sometimes it can be as simple as that. That started the first seed, of we are not good enough, because that seed, eventually will grow into a forest of not good enough within us. So I want you to just go through this journey with me for a while to see how this actually being formed within us. So when I remember when I first being beat up, in my school, I feel so ashamed in front of my entire class, that I feel like, hey, while the person next to me is having 100 score, I can feel the pride, I can feel the glory of scoring, so high as 100 marks, But for me, I'm just getting like 99, and I got like one rotan, in Malaysia we call like one cane, and that punishment itself, that creates the first seed inside me telling me that, hey, if I'm not perfect, I'm not scoring the 100 marks, I'm not good enough. So throughout my years of studying, I aim for that perfection. You may say, hey, that's a good thing. But every single time I don't get 100 marks, what's going to happen within me is I reinforce the belief system within me that, hey, Sky, you're not good enough. So in order to get to the 100 score, you have to work hard, you have to strive. On the surface, it looks good, but let's be honest, it's impossible to score 100 marks in every aspect of life. Don't you feel so? Like, how about my appearance? I'm sure it's not 100 marks, There'll be so many people that will be so much more handsome than me. How about my lifestyle? How about my financials? How about my social status? How about my reputations? And all these things, you're going to start striving for their perfections unconsciously, because that was how I was being brought up. And a lot of us are being brought up that way. And that conditioning again and again is going to tell me that, hey, I'm not good enough, because comparing to someone else is in the world is going to be somewhere, somehow, someone is going to be better than me. So every single time I have this comparison inside me, I'm going to reaffirm again inside me that, hey, Sky, I'm not good enough. So what is going to happen? I'm going to be constantly seeking for this perfect, invisible goal inside me in all aspects of my life. And with that, the result, yes, you may say I'm striving forward, but it's going to be so stressful. There'll be so much unconscious stress that I build up along the way of my life, and a lot of affirmation inside me telling me that, hey, I'm not good enough. So I'm just giving one example, but I want you to think about it for a while. Throughout our life, there's just so many points that is possible in our life that people are showing us that we are not good enough. And it's going to be reflected, in our day-to-day thinking, day-to-day interaction with the world. It can be as simple as somebody complimenting you and say, hey, Sky, you're doing such a great job. And inside me, it can be say, hey, oh, no, it's okay, no. But inside me, every single time we reject that kind of compliment, what's going to happen? We are reaffirming that, hey, I'm not good enough. Even though you feel the pride, you feel the glory at the moment, but every affirmation of that is telling me, my cells, my mindset, every part of me that I'm not good enough. So I want you to start really review for a while, think for a while, what are the thoughts that run through your mind throughout your days? What are the interactions you have with your families, with your friends, when people give compliments to you? Are you receiving it? And all these little things that are going to build up or either a new self-love or reconfirming your low self-esteem, So all these things eventually are like termites, inside us. They are going to consume you slowly, and eventually, this entire being, is going to be consumed by termites. If we don't do anything about it, we are going to be shying away from spotlight. We're going to be shying away, from, compliments, from others. We are going to shy away from receiving goodness, from others, receiving abundance from others, receiving help from others, because constantly we are feeling that we are not good enough. So in order to do that, a lot of people will have the tendency, maybe to start dressing up better, to start pretending, to talk differently, to imitate differently, and all these things are external solutions. Yes, that you may fake it, until you make it. But what is the most direct solutions to actually help you to actually build a new self-esteem? First, of course, is to be aware of what is going on within us, around us, with our thoughts, with our interaction with the society. Second is to start building small, tiny, new habits. So the next time someone say that, hey, you look beautiful today, what do? It's good to start affirming that. It's good to start saying thank you. It's good to start absorbing that inside you and not to really shy away from it. And the next time you may have these thoughts that are telling you that, hey, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you are not slim enough. It's good to start putting a pause to those thoughts racing in your mind and say, hey, I choose to be enough. And it can be as simple as just putting a pause. Imagine there's a big square, red colored pause in front of you, and just press on that pause. Stop that nonsense running in your mind telling you that you're not good enough, and start affirming, I am good enough. And the more you do that throughout your days, it's going to build up the momentum, build up the muscle inside you of confidence. That was how we built low self-esteem along the way. So I want you to think about it positively, in the sense that if your body can construct this muscle to build a low self-esteem you because of all that falling in your life, or all that failure, so-called that falling down or defeat that you faces, or challenges you faces in your life, it's also the same muscle you can train to actually build confidence. It's the same muscle, okay? It's the same muscle. So it's important that we start training the muscle differently. So every time the muscle reacts with low self-confidence, it's important to first pause it first and start with a new habit, a new affirmations in this context. Just telling yourself that I am enough, I am good enough. And the more you do that, the more your body, cells, and DNA is going to absorb this new informations, and one day they become like a real to you. Just like now, maybe you feel that low self-esteem is real to you. But I must tell you that it was not real. It was not real until you condition yourself to be that way. So it's important to recognize that what is real is your conditioning. So if you start conditioning yourself differently and putting the pause to all these little thoughts running in your life, running in your mind, they're telling you that you are not good enough. Even your friends sometimes may react that way. Sometimes you want to do something, they may say, hey, don't do that, maybe you're not ready and stuff like that. It may look like they care for you, but sometimes all these little discouragements somehow is telling you and affirming to you that you are not good enough. So that it's good to become aware and put a pause to it, sharing to the right people, of your dream, so that you can put yourself in a more encouraging environment to build this self-worth again, to build this self-esteem again. And to me, that whole process of building this confidence or building this self-esteem is a way of loving yourself. It's changing all these unloving thoughts, that puts you down to loving thoughts of encouraging yourself, uplifting your spirit. So self-love is a process, in this context, So how do you change? So let's summarize this. How do you change from low self-worth, or self-doubt to actually self-love? First, you have to have awareness first. You have to be aware of your habits, your habitual thoughts, your habitual interactions, with the world. Are you shying off from goodness, from good compliments? All these things you have to start paying attention. Once you start becoming aware of what is running inside you, second, put a pause to anything that doesn't serve you anymore, any thoughts, any conversation, any interactions, or any friendship circle that doesn't serve you anymore. It's time to put a pause. Sometimes to step away for you to heal again, to leave those toxic relationships, maybe. Third, start building new habits with the same muscle. With the same muscle of bringing you down, it's the same muscle that can uplift you. And it's time to start affirming to yourself, I am good enough. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you gain something that is important, that can really shift your life, change your perspective, and have more self-discovery for you to create the life that you love to have. Thank you.
Click like and subscribe for more.